Hello, friends, and welcome. This is the LarthMedia podcast, episode 004, A New Larth. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about what a new Larth means to me. Go into what is this podcast about? 4 episodes in, and I still haven't nailed it down. I'm going to talk about my previous episode and some of the challenges I ran into with recording and editing that one specifically. I'm going to talk about I've experienced some significant growth on my YouTube channel. Significant being a relative term in this case. I'm going to talk about what's been going on with me and my challenges and why I seem to be having trouble getting on schedule and doing this regularly. I've got some plans coming up this next month. In July, I have a vacation planned and a spiritual retreat. Some spiritual personal development stuff going on. And aside from that, I'm going to talk about my plans for the future. What is the future for me, for this podcast, for everything, really? Anyway, like I said, this is LarthMedia. This is the LarthMedia podcast, episode 004, A New Larth. If you want to reach me, follow me, you can reach me at LarthMedia@gmail.com. All the social media accounts are going to be at LarthMedia. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, at LarthMedia, Facebook.com/LarthMedia. I have a Buzzsprout website for this podcast, which Buzzsprout is my host for the podcast. It's going to be LarthMediaPodcast.buzzsprout.com. I have a custom URL for my YouTube channel. I just made it right before I started recording this. I'll talk more about that. It's going to be youtube.com/LarthMedia. Take you right to the channel. So, A New Larth, episode 4 in Star Wars, It's a New Hope. After the dark days of the Empire, I guess. Well, it's actually the beginning of the... Anyway, I'm not going to talk about Star Wars. Am I a new Larth? I hope so. I hope I'm a new Lathan every single day. I hope every day I'm climbing and I'm growing and I'm becoming what it is I am meant to be. And part of that is recording this podcast and putting myself out there, recording content. I've been recording some reaction videos. Like after I watch a movie in the theater, I'll record like a short 10-minute initial reaction video. That's another little content creation I've been doing. And another way that I've been challenging myself and putting myself out there, even though it makes me uncomfortable. Perhaps because it makes me uncomfortable, because it's that fear that I want to face. Because I've come to the belief that if it scares me, it's probably something I should be doing. It's something that I should be overcoming. What is the podcast about? Yeah, I asked myself that during the very first episode. I don't think I touched on it on the second one. On the second one, I was just happy to be recording an episode. Because, I recorded the first one. I think I took I don't know, it was like 4 months, something like that, before I even got the second one recorded. Never mind uploaded. I think it was another month or two before I even uploaded it. The two things that I've thought about so much for this podcast and just for any kind of content creation I want to do online, the two topics that come to mind is, one, mental health, which is a huge one for me because it is a documentation of me facing my challenges and overcoming them as I go. Number two, film. I spoke briefly in my first episode about I want to go to film school. I've gotten so much more into the consumption. Not so much the consumption. Honestly, I've been watching less movies lately, but the craft of film and understanding it more. I watch a YouTube channel, and I'm gonna plug them all the time. Called Red Letter Media. It's like, I mean, it's basically comedy. It's very funny. I mean, to me, it is. But they talk in very technical detail about film, about storytelling, about the visuals, um, all kind of stuff about filmmaking. And I think, honestly, I haven't gone too deeply into either topic. Like, I recorded my first episode. I had planned to put my diagnosis out there, like right there in episode 1, and I didn't. And I think my therapist would probably say that I was unconsciously avoiding it, and I'm inclined to agree. The second one, I put my diagnosis out there, and I'll say it again. I am diagnosed with bipolar depression, bipolar 2, which is bipolar light, I guess. And as far as those two topics about, what is this podcast going to be about? Well, no, I'm sorry. Let me rewind. And then, so the first 2 episodes were kind of that. The third episode, the bulk of that episode was a Spider-Man No Way Home review, which obviously is a film, and me talking about film, which is one of the things I was really excited to talk about. And I continue to be excited to talk about. Excuse me, my voice, I can tell it's really dry and phlegmy right now. Excuse me. This podcast is not sponsored by Smart Water. Excuse me. So, 2 topics. What is it going to be about, Lathan? What is this podcast? Ultimately, I want it to be about both, but I think the former is far more important than the latter. Me dealing with, overcoming, and documenting all of that, overcoming those challenges, and just talking about things that have helped me, things I find inspiring, things that really light a fire within me. Because when I find something that is, I mean, like I said, inspiring, revelatory, something where, a light bulb just kind of bing over my head, like, oh my God, this makes sense. That is what I think I need to be focusing on. And I think that is what I am avoiding. And here we are. What is today? Today is July 27th. And I'm recording episode 4. I uploaded my very first episode on October 20th. I still remember that. So that's been 8 months. And this is my 4th episode. So that's like 1 episode every 2 months on average. There's been longer gaps and shorter gaps. Ultimately, and I said this previously, like the plan was to upload an episode a week. Maybe I need to lower my expectations, my plans on that. I was thinking about that recently too. Like, so let's say October 20th, 2022 will be like the 1-year anniversary of me starting this podcast. Am I going to have 12 episodes right now, or by then? Because as it stands right now, like I just said, I'm at 1 episode every 2 months. will I increase my production over these next few months so I can at least average one episode per month by the time I get to the end of the first year? We shall have to see. And again, I should probably temper my expectations of this and not get too down on myself. Let's see. I'm rambling here. I talked about what the podcast is about. Let me just finish up on that. So the first topic, like I said, was mental health and just documentation of my personal growth and development. How is Lathan doing? How is he overcoming? What is he doing? And hopefully that can help someone else, because that's ultimately what this podcast is supposed to be about. Is about me, first of all, me putting myself out there, which is a challenge for me, overcoming my issues, and hopefully that helps someone else, that inspires someone else, just as I was inspired and benefited from other podcasts and other content I've consumed in the past. But as I go through that, no, excuse me, the filmmaking and all the film stuff is secondary. As I overcome my issues, and who knows if I'm ever going to truly overcome my issues, they'll probably always be a part of my life, but they'll be so minimized that they don't affect me nearly as much as they do now. But they are the priority, because if I don't deal with this stuff, if I don't deal with, like I said, the bipolar depression, if I don't deal with my anxiety, if I don't take the steps to treat myself, basically, then everything else I want to do in life is going to have this like dark cloud, this dark shadow over it. Anything I want to do is colored by my condition. So anyway, as far as going into filmmaking, talking about film, that needs to be secondary. I mean, a choice has to be made. And I guess this is me making a choice. I'm still, like I said, reaction videos, review videos, stuff like that, I'm still going to do. But my primary goal, my primary focus is what is going to help me? What is basically, am I walking the path that I'm meant to walk? Am I going in the direction I'm meant to go? Because if it excites me, if it, like I said, lights a fire within me, then that tells me I'm going in the right direction. And at the same time, if it's something that excites me, but it also frightens me, then same thing. It's probably something I should be doing, something I should be attacking. So yeah, that's it. Wow, I rambled a bit about that. That's it as far as the what is this podcast about? I guess going forward, it's going to be more about mental health and my personal growth and development. So yeah, talking about episode 3. That episode, that was a doozy. To record. I want to say editing it was more difficult, but they were both two different beasts. Like, I mean, when I finished recording that episode, the video file was 3 hours long. That's how long I rambled, and it was mostly about that movie, about Spider-Man: No Way Home. Available here. My podcast episode 3 is available somewhere. If I knew how to do that, I'm sure it's not that hard, but I haven't learned how to do that yet. One of the things that, and for example, I just did something not too long ago that I'm pretty sure no one's going to see or hear because I'm going to edit it out. The first 2 episodes were just straight, like recorded beginning to end. No edits. Because I think I was far less confident in that. And like every time I had like an awkward silence or I was gathering my thoughts, I would just get nervous. Sometimes I would just start I would re-record the entire episode, and I can't be doing that because I can already tell the way this episode is going, it's going to be longer than 30 minutes. The first two were right around 30 minutes. The third episode, to get back on topic, like I said, the video file was 3 hours long, and I was all over the place. And I'm still, I still have trouble focusing. I think that's part of my issues. I mean, I'm not clinically diagnosed with ADHD, but yeah, focus seems to be definitely a challenge for me. So I recorded episode 3. It was a 3-hour long video file. As I said, I'm repeating myself. And the first thing I thought about after I recorded that episode is like, I was terrified. It's like, how am I going to edit this? And the thing is that at that point, I had never done anything like that before. So, I mean, I've talked previously on here about so much of the challenges and so much of the time I've spent on this podcast has been video. And I'll say it again. I'm going to get into my YouTube stuff pretty soon. I definitely want to continue on and having an audio only podcast, because I think because I enjoy podcasts. I enjoy the audio only format. It's very intimate, and it's something that you can just put in your ears and just go about your day. But also, and speaking as someone who wants to go into film, I'm very excited about the video aspect of it as well. And I'm not, there's no big video production here. But as I've gone into it, and as I've edited episode 3, I've learned more about video editing, and oh my God, I've had some, let's just say I've had some low lows and some high highs. There were times when I was editing that video where I wanted to scream or throw something, because either I didn't know what I was doing and I was having trouble, or I would do a bunch of different stuff and then something wouldn't work out and I'd have to start over. And oh my God, it drove me crazy. But that's the challenge, right? That's putting in the work. That's how you learn. Trial and error. This podcast has been very much about trial and error. How much is error and how much is, well, anyway, let's not get into that. But anyway, getting back to episode 3 again. See, I'm rambling. I guess one of the main things I want to say about that is, like I said, I learned a lot. Well, I mean, it's a video, right? So I'm editing the video, but basically at the same time I'm editing the audio, because I edit the video first, and then I just pull the audio out of that and I upload that as the audio podcast. I went through I started out with Shotcut, which I had used before, just here and there. I'm not an expert. I started using Shotcut, and it's just this one little thing that wasn't working. It's such a minor thing, but I get so anal. See, I want to touch the desk, but I know that's going to cause, feedback on the mic. I'm trying to work on my mic technique. Such a minute detail that wasn't working in Shotcut. So I went to another video editor. I'm not going to go through this whole story, but all told, I went through, started with Shotcut. I went to, I think it's OpenShot. And then there's the one with the red shark. I forget the names of these. Anyway, it doesn't matter. One was super easy, but the video looked horrible. The red shark one, I forget what that one is called. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, I learned. And the thing is, I went through all those, and then I just went right back to Shotcut. And I've learned so much in that time that I'm far more efficient with it now than I was when I first started. I went crying back to Shotcut, like, oh, take me back. Um, and again, I'm having trouble focusing, obviously, because I'm going all over the place with this. But basically, I'm not going to talk too much about that. Like I said, like that Spider-Man No Way Home, and even like some of these, I've recorded a few like short reaction videos. They're usually about 10 minutes, like right when I get out of the theater in my car. I recorded another one today. I just saw Black Phone starring Ethan Hawke. I'm not going to go into that film other than to say that's a thumbs up. I recommend that film. It's a horror film. But yeah, so those are basically pretty short and just overview. I want to say I tried. I did. I went as deep as I could into Spider-Man No Way Home, but there's so many gaps, so many like I lose my train of thought, so many like I don't know what I talked about and what I didn't talk about, so I would start over. And again, like I mean, the video was 3 hours long. I think I was working on that, like all told, like 5 hours working on that episode. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna move on from this. Long story short is I put in the work. How it came out is, up to perception. I still when I was watching that and listening to it, there's still parts that make me cringe. But again, that's just the way things are gonna be. It's gonna get better. I'm gonna get better. So yeah, I'm just gonna move on from that to say that episode 3 was a huge challenge. Like I said, low lows and high highs. There was times when I was so angry I wanted to throw something. But once I broke through and I figured things out and things went smoothly and I finished it, oh my God, I wanted to swear. I was effing elated. I was so happy. And that's the reward that one gets. Anyway, I'm done about that. I'm going to talk about my YouTube channel. I have a video. It's a short, like 16 second, 18 second NBA 2K16 video of LeBron. I think it's called NBA 2K16 LeBron self alley-oop dunk. The video is 5 years old, which is about right given the version of that game. The video is 5 years old, and like all of a sudden I saw like, oh shit, it's got like 2,000 views. And this is like coming from me. Like before that, I think my most viewed video was like I think it was another video game video. A Just Cause video was like at about 500. I had another one with Nathan Drake shooting the minigun for like a couple hundred. But yeah, it got like 2,000 views. And then I stopped paying attention to it because whatever, I'm in my head and I'm depressed or whatever. I'm not paying attention to this thing. I come back, it's at 8,000. And then I start paying attention, and it just kept going. It kept climbing. 10,000, 15,000, 20, 30. It seems to have slowed down. It seems to have plateaued, but it's currently at 130,000. And I'm just like, mine equals blown. But I guess that's the algorithm. That's the YouTube algorithm. For whatever reason, it picked up that video and put it in recommended, and then it just went crazy. And it feels weird because to me it feels like, okay, I didn't really do anything more. It was an old video that just kind of sat there, and all of a sudden YouTube decided to pick it up, and it went crazy. My first reaction was that there's something sketchy going on. There's something weird. I've been hacked, or I don't know. Someone's messing with me. But once I asked around, I have a one YouTuber friend. He doesn't do really YouTube that much. His name is Kaiini GG on YouTube. Subscribe on Instagram. Think Highly brand. I'm totally plugging it. He's doing like a t-shirt business, and yeah, from what I'm seeing on his social channel, he seems to be doing really well. Anyway, it's not about him. It's about me. But yeah, I asking him and others. I said, okay, it's legit. So I just said, you know what? I'm thankful. And a lot of the comments, and I forget how many comments. There's like 100, couple hundred comments, and they're just all talking about the algorithm. And a lot of people like the video, so it's like, okay, great, they like the video. So along with that, I mean, I want to say that I'm sure there were other factors, but I went from, I don't know how long it took me to get to 50. If you talk about like the age of my channel, it took me 5 years to get to 50 subscribers, but I've only really been active, like, I don't know, basically when I started this, the past, 6 to 8 months. So I got to 50 subscribers after 8 months. And then I gained another 50 subscribers in like a month. But of course, I think that's when that NBA 2K16 video just took off. So again, I don't want to diminish the growth. I don't want to diminish, like, say like, oh well, I didn't do anything. It's, I'm lucky. At some point, I guess I am. But for whatever reason, I was chosen by the algorithm, and I'll just say thank you, because it got me up to 100 subscribers. I'm currently at 108, which means I get a custom URL, which, as far as like, smoothing out all my branding, I have a custom URL for YouTube now. It's youtube.com/LarthMedia, as I mentioned in my contact info. And I don't know, for some reason that was really exciting for me. I was really looking forward to that. That's one of the milestones. 100 subscribers. I forget it's real basics, like 100 subscribers, banner image, profile image. You can have a custom URL. It took YouTube a couple weeks to give me the option. I wanted to do it like that day, but the option wasn't there. And I just did it just now. So yeah, that was the YouTube story. I don't even know what the time is, but this is going to be a long one. And you know what? This is what I want it to be. There's a part of me that, like, this is long and it's boring, and in some ways it probably is. It's all subjective, of course. Who wants to listen to it and who doesn't? I think the most important thing for me is just to keep going and not worry about that. Whatever happened will happen. So I guess this is the difficult part. What's going on with Lathan? I've written down. Let me. It's ups and downs. I mean, that's really. I mean, even when it's affecting me negatively, that's what bipolar depression is. It's super high highs and super low lows. In the past, it's been called like manic depressive. It's feeling so angry, frustrated, and depressed that I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to see anyone. To the other extreme of the spectrum, where I've been told, like, the diagnosis generally means the highs, the manics, is like where you're super excited, it's super energized, and I guess I feel that sometimes, but I don't know if I've ever had, well, maybe here and there, but not long periods of feeling too happy. I'm doing air quotes on the video for those listening. for me, it's mostly the low lows. I guess anxiety, having high anxiety. I'm sure that's more of a manic symptom. But anyway, getting back on track. I recorded the first episode. I went into hiding. I recorded the second episode. I went into hiding again. I uploaded the second episode. But over the past few months, I'm going to choose my words carefully here. I've been having a real hard time. And I don't know why. And I think, well, I just said I don't know why, but I'm going to give my theory as to why. Because I've put this out here. I've created the podcast. I've created all this content. So there it is. There's whatever. There's the thing. Go do it. And then I'm scared to do it. And then I think for one, I beat myself up. I talked earlier about expectations where, I wouldn't say I expected myself to put out one episode per week, but that was the plan. And I guess the more I don't do that, there's like this voice in my head like, well, why don't you do it? See, you're not good enough. You're not going to do it. You're just going to fail. And all this negative self-talk. So I get really down on myself. I'll give an example. See, I'm being I'm being very careful right now. I still, there's that block of things that I want to talk about, but I don't know if I'm ready to, and I'm still afraid to go into great detail. But I'll just give an example. Okay, today is, as I said, Monday, the 27th. I go back to work tomorrow. I'm off right now, Sunday, Monday. For at least the past few weeks, I think the past at least month or so, I've been doing nothing on my days off. And I would love to say that I'm just relaxing and I'm enjoying myself and da 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 da. There's a lot of people who just lay around the house all day and they're loving it. And perhaps I could be doing that. But I think I'm beating myself up. I'm setting all these high expectations of what I should be doing on my day off. Podcast, one of them. There's different things. My car is freaking filthy right now. It needs a wash desperately. But anyway, like I said, the past month and a half, I don't even know how long. I'd wake up on Sunday, which is my first day off. I would think about all the things that I want or need to do. And I would get overwhelmed. And then I would get overwhelmed, kind of give up in my head, like say, just I'm going to swear, fuck this. I'm not going to do this. And it's not even that much of like an actual logical thought in my head, like a rational thought. Like I actually say that. I just kind of give up. And then I just settle into like this self-loathing, like, again, like the negative self-talk. Like, yeah, that's all you're going to do. You're just going to lay around. You're not going to do shit. You're just going to sit around and be depressed like you always do. And that's what I was doing. Whew, this is this is it. This is what I need to do. Let's talk about this stuff. Just when I feel that way, I want to say like I'm angry, or I'm depressed, or I'm anxious, or I'm this, that, or that. But it's like I'm all of those things at once. All these negative emotions just digging at me. I want to say they're pulling me in different directions. Because if you want to look at it with like somehow literally, depression's pulling me down, anxiety, manic is pulling me up, and other things are pulling me to the side. And me, I just wanna fucking hide. I just want to hide in my room, well, my apartment, and not do anything. Because that way I don't have to think about any of that stuff. I'm still thinking about it, but I've just kind of shoved it to the back of my head and just let it eat at me. And that's why I've been feeling so horrible on my days off. I'll go back to a conversation I had with my therapist, Wailua Brandman, APRN, a whole bunch of other titles and whatever at the end of his email signature. I'm not going to say exactly what was said, but basically he tells me what I already know. Basically things he's taught me already. But I text him, which is, I'm so fortunate that, he allows me that kind of access. I try not to take advantage of it. I text him like I'm feeling this way and I'm not going to do anything and da 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 da. And then he'll ask me a question, or he'll say like, well, what about this? Have you tried this? What do you usually do in these situations? And he's asking me and I'm giving him the answer, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to meditate, or I'm supposed to recite affirmations, or I'm supposed to do this, or that. But when I'm feeling like that, it's like all that stuff is not even, it's not even a consideration. There's something that Wailua talks about. Eckhart Tolle, who, those of you, Eckhart Tolle, I think how you say his name, Gary Zukov, they all talk about unconsciousness. How so much like in humanity is about unconsciousness, what's going on inside our heads that we're not even aware of. And the point I'm trying to make here is that when I'm feeling that way, I'm unconscious of my ability to bring myself out of that. And I guess there's a part of me that wants me to stay that way. And that's why I don't think about, okay, well, if I just sit down and meditate, da 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 da, I'll get through this. Or if I do this, I'll pull myself out of this. No, like I said, there's a part of me that wants to stay in that, I want to swear again, that freaking crappy state. Because I suppose unconsciously, there's a part of me that believes that's what I deserve. That's where I belong, is to be unhappy, is to be depressed, is to be immobile. So it's been a big challenge, and there's more that goes into that I'm I'm not ready to talk about. I'm not there yet, because it gets pretty dark. That's the most I'll say. I guess, yeah, one thing to get back about that conversation I had with Wailua over text. Two things happened recently, like a few months ago. One, I switched to day shift at my job. I used to work swing shift 2 to 10. Now I'm working day shift 6 to 2, which I told myself I really wanted. Of course, when I first started it, I was like, I don't know if this is working for me, because I've always felt like I'm a morning person, and I still feel that way. Of course, another thing to consider is I live in McCully, and it's a lot easier to sleep till 5 in the morning than it is to 8, 9 o'clock in the morning with the noise. But yeah, I switched to day shift, and I switched to seeing Wailua every 2 weeks instead of every week. These two things happened around the same time. So when I was texting Wailua, when we had that conversation, I was gonna say. Well, I was saying like how I was telling him how much of a hard time that I was having, and the things that were going through my head and the way I was feeling. Da 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 da. Um, the first thing he said, like, "Oh, well, do you want to increase your medication?" Maybe that's another thing I should say, along with my diagnosis. I take lamotrigine, 200 milligrams. There, that's I don't know. I don't know why that shouldn't be too hard for me to say. But there, I just said it. He said, "Do you want to increase your medication?" And then my first thought was like, well, that's an option. But in the back of my head, I'm like, well, there's all these things that I used to do that I'm not doing anymore that I know would help me. And that I basically told him that. And then he came back at me with, "Oh, well, maybe you should try those." And again, that's what I was saying earlier about just being unconscious of knowing what's good for me, what's beneficial. I'm not going to go into this right now. I think I am in somewhat future episode, but I went through a very difficult time. And I'm not even talking about mental health. I'm talking about life. I was in a very dark place. I was beaten down when I moved into this apartment, coming up on 3 years now. In October, actually. I'll be in this apartment for 3 years. But at that time, I'm not going to go into detail, but let's just say I was in such a dark place that I needed something. And I was still seeing Wailu at the time. So, I mean, a couple of the things, excuse me, I think I still have this on my Instagram stories, like pinned at the top, is that the 3 things that success is about rituals, and my rituals are meditation, exercise, and writing. And when I was in this dark place, obviously I needed something. And I got to this place where I set up a ritual and I did that shit. I did like every one of those, like every day for at least a year. I want to say almost 2 years, but at some point I just kind of faltered. Another thing I did was taking cold showers. I've heard different things about cold showers. I've heard they're good for like what is it called? When you, I don't want to say immunity. I'm sure the word will come to me later. Where you don't get sick. And I've also heard that they're good for like mental health issues. I wish I had more information about that, but I'll probably go into that later in a future episode when I talk about that. I'll just say here, like, it's very difficult to be, well, no, I'm going to say it's impossible to be freezing your ass off in the shower, taking a cold shower, and to be depressed at the same time. You might be depressed, a little while after the shower, but while that's happening to me, I'm not going to say you, while that's happening to me, it's like I'm there. I'm present. There's nothing but me in that cold ass water. Okay? But yeah, I'm getting off point again. I set these rituals in, and I just stuck to them like nobody's business, because that's where I was in my life. And also, I'll go into this later, I didn't have a license at the time. So I was riding my bike everywhere. I work at, I don't think I said this before. I work at Haviki Tower as a security guard. I remember before I was scared to say that. I don't know why. But yeah, it's less than 2 miles away. So it's not that much of a bike ride. But I was biking to work. I was biking to freaking Sam's Club, like full backpack and bags on my handlebars. I lost a bunch of weight. I lost like 50 pounds over the course of a year. And this is all stuff. This is a story I've been meaning to tell, like in a future episode. But the point of all this is that I did that for so long, and I got to a really good place. I remember how good I felt, and there's a lot of different issues that I felt differently about when I did that. But I got away from it. I got my license back, so I stopped riding my bike to work. I haven't gained all that weight back, but I'm heavier now than I was about a year or so ago. Yeah, so I'm losing my train of thought. The point, yeah, I'm going back to the conversation with Wailua, the text conversation, where he recommended, or no, he didn't recommend, he suggested, well, how about we up your medication? And my first reaction was, well, that's an option, but I know there's XYZ that I'm not doing. And if I was doing XYZ, I bet you I would be doing a lot better. I wouldn't be feeling this way. I might not feel as good as I always have, or as best as I have in the past, but I know I wouldn't be feeling this bad if I was doing XYZ. XYZ being meditation, exercise, and some kind of, I started out with saying writing, like journaling, but I've kind of modified that definition just to some sort of expression. I mean, it's journaling basically. I used to write twice a day. Like I said, when I was doing those rituals, I used to write twice a day. I've got into the habit now of recording myself, just like this. I've been doing that recently for like 15 minutes, just talking about how my day was, talking about things that bothered me, just some form of like getting it out, analyzing it, releasing it, whatever. And that text conversation with Wailua, I guess that's kind of what started it. At least started me kind of getting back on that path. It's like I did so well for so long and I saw the benefits. But then as I got better, I started to slack off on those things that got me there. And then I guess you could say I regressed. Along with all this stuff and all the pressure I'm putting on myself. And then that conversation, I said, oh yeah, that's all the stuff that I used to do that I haven't been doing. Let's get back on that. So basically, and again, I haven't been doing it every day, and I still, even this past week, there have been good days and there have been really bad days. But I'm getting back into it. I'm building that ritual. I started exercising and I started riding my bike to work. I recently threw out my back, like really bad. Oh my God, I was in pain. I was doing really bad like 2 weeks ago. I'm feeling really good these past 2 days. I'm thinking about riding my bike to work tomorrow. But that kind of put a hamper on the exercise, which probably had some effect on my mood, I'm sure. And again, I could probably go swimming or something, but again, that's something that's outside of my norm, so I guess outside of my comfort zone. So I have trouble doing that. Funny side note, that's something that Wailua has told me to do like for years now, part of my treatment plan. And I think I might have done it like once or twice over the past few years. So that's where I am now. Like I said, past few months, days off, fucking depressed, angry, frustrated. But today and yesterday, I'm doing well. I was not active all day, but I actually did stuff. I actually went outside. I went shopping. I went to Sam's Club. I went to Walmart. I did some other stuff which escapes my memory. Um, I did my meditation and my journaling yesterday. Still not exercising. And today I did my meditation this morning. I did my video journal right before I started this. I went out and saw a movie. Like I said, I saw Black Phone, which I really enjoyed. So I feel like I'm back on the mend, if you will. How long have I been going? Let me check the time. Fuck, it's 7:15 already. Oh yeah, I think this episode is going to be at least an hour long. So where am I? How's my mic technique, by the way? I remember like that last episode, along with all the challenges of talking for that long and being so disjointed. I remember like I would mess with the mic stand and you could really hear it. And there was a lot of I don't know if you can hear them now. I hear them usually more after the fact, but all the plosives that they talk about when it comes to audio recording. I lost my train of thought. So yeah, I'm doing better now, and I look forward to continuing to improve. So that's the end of that. I'm reading a book called The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukav. I'm not gonna go into it because I'll ramble about it. And the funny thing is, I'm really connecting with this book, but when I think about talking about it, it's like I have trouble talking about it. And I think it's inner judgment. I think it's all these I'm gonna do air quotes again, crazy new age ideas that maybe a lot of people wouldn't vibe with. But then again, I don't know that. I'm sure there are a lot of people that wouldn't, but I don't think it's about them. It's about me and me judging the material. But anyway, and again, this is something that was suggested to me by Wailua. So the book is Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukav. I recommend it if you can get into it. I'm definitely getting into it. And they also have seatofthesoul.com. Where they have Seat of the Soul Institute. I guess maybe that's his most popular book. He has other books. But along with that, I am attending a retreat. I'm going to do air quotes again, retreat, because it's going to be over Zoom. So I'm going to be doing the retreat from my studio apartment. That is happening on the 15th, 16th, and 17th of July. I want to say equal parts. I'm just going to say I'm nervous and scared and excited and optimistic. I'm nervous and scared because I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be judged. And again, Wailua would say I'm judging myself. Like there's going to be people there who are smarter and more enlightened and more, I don't know, advanced with this kind of stuff than I am. And I'm a first timer. So there's that fear. There's that inner judgment. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes and how I come out of it. So yeah, I'm going to be on vacation from July 15th to July 25th. I return to work on July 26th. So I'm going to that retreat. And then on the 20th, I'm going to the Big Island. I'm going on vacation. My friend from high school is getting married. Congratulations, Sundance and Tanisha. I guess soon to be Tanisha Vargas. Oh, I don't know. Is that how they're going to do the names? So he's getting married. So I'm going to the Big Island for 5 days. And I think, well, no, I know this is going to be very, very therapeutic, very reflective. I mean, I grew up my teen to my adult years. I grew up in Puna, in Pohoa, on the Big Island, which is, where he's from. He lives in Mountain View now. But I look forward to driving around the Big Island, visiting old sites where I used to go. I left the Big Island. I think I said this in my first episode. I left the Big Island in 2002, like January 2002. And I didn't return until 2018, which is when my little brother, who was living over there at the time, got when he graduated from high school, Keao High School. And it was first of all, I don't know why it took me so long to go back. I guess it's just, I don't know, it's just me, and I just don't go on vacation. I don't go anywhere, and I think that's the depression. That's the I just kind of, I sit in my funk, and I don't get out of my comfort zone. But anyway, I remember going back to Pohoa, like for the first time in 16 years, and I started crying. Like I was just looking around, and I was just flooded with all these memories of what I did over there, what I did over there. Oh, remember that? And I just got overwhelmed. Thing about that trip, I was with my my ex. We're gonna get into that later. I was with my ex and her daughter and my mom, and it was about Kili's graduation. So I didn't have a lot of time myself to just go around and check things out and cruise. I'm going on this trip coming up by myself. I'm going to be there for 5 days. 2 of the days, like Saturday's the wedding, and then Sunday where I'm going to go somewhere with my friend, go cruise up the coast. But for the other, I guess 3 days, I'm going to do a lot of driving. I'm just going to drive around that island. I'm going to drive to places I used to go, places I used to, I don't know, maybe places I used to live. I think I'm going to more focus on the popular spots. I'm going to check out the lava flow. I don't even know I didn't follow the news close enough to know what got wiped out by the lava flow a few years ago. So I'm looking forward to looking into that. So we'll see how I come out of this vacation. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to how it affects me. Anyway, oh God. Jeez, Lathan, are you still talking? What are my plans for the future? It's my last little note on here. I don't know. I've established a nice little ritual since I moved to day shift as far as trying to get my sleep in order. One of the main things that I wanted to be on day shift because I felt I would sleep more and I would sleep better because I wouldn't be woken up by sunlight and noise. The difference is when I'm going to sleep at like 8 or 9, I'm bothered by artificial light and noise. It's not too bad around 9 o'clock, but 8 o'clock there's still plenty of traffic noise outside. But anyway, the point is I've established habits for sleep hygiene that I've been told about sleep hygiene for years. But again, it's one of those things that I just never stuck to because I was stubborn or whatever, just unconsciously sabotaging myself. So I stopped eating at 5 o'clock. Usually, sometimes, I go over a little bit. I go to bed at 8. That gives me 9 hours because I usually wake up at 5 in the morning. I don't always sleep the entire 9, but I give myself those 9 hours. And I don't, I've listened to a lot of motivational videos about waking up early. And I wake up early because I start early, but about sleeping less and this kind of thing. I'm focused on taking care of myself and taking care of my rest and just building from there. So as I build those rituals, those are my plans for the future, is to build upon those rituals. I've got a few set, and I'm doing really well with those, but I want to add to them and add to them and add to them, where I've scheduled and I've ritualized, if you will, my day, my week. And of course that continues, that includes this podcast and any of my content creation. So whenever I do this, because I don't think I want to do this on my work day, especially the way things have gone today. It's possible, but I don't think it's optimal. This is a great thing to do on my day off, where I just give myself a couple hours to do it. Again, this is going to be a long one. I think it's and I don't even know if I might want to put a cut here or there, but for the most part, I've talked all the way through with a few awkward silences here and there. Of course, the silences are only awkward if you feel awkward. So without announcing any grand plans or anything, those are my plans for the future. Just that slow build. Start small and build up. Talking about my, like I said previously, when I had my rituals in place as far as the exercise and meditation, all that, I was doing like push-ups and sit-ups every day. That's another thing that I never thought I'd do. I was doing push-ups and sit-ups like every day for like a year and a half. But I started small. I don't know how many push-ups I started. I don't think it was 1. I don't think it was 5. It might have been 3. But I just started there, and I built and I built and I built and I built. And since I've lost all that momentum, I think I'm putting pressure on myself to start bigger, when really I just need to start small again and build and build and build and build. And then it'll grow into, whatever it grows into. Anyway, I think I've been rambling for long enough. I'm interested to see how long this video file is. Probably about an hour or so. So that has been the LarthMedia podcast, episode 004, A New Larth. And you know what? It feels like a new Larth. As far as the podcast, as far as what I've said on here and how long I've said it, it's new. It's something I've never done on this podcast, and this is exactly how I want to build and the direction I want to go in. But anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. I'm going to make watching a thing. Just watch me. Just watching me. Anyway, contact info. Contact me, LarthMedia@gmail.com. All the social media outlets is LarthMedia. Facebook.com/LarthMedia. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok @LarthMedia. I have a Snapchat, but I don't even use it. I don't understand Snapchat. I barely understand TikTok. These are all things that I could get into, but so much of social media is just freaking noise to me. And that's a big part of what I've been doing lately, is just cutting out the noise. Of course, at some point I got to dip my toe into that noisy world of social media and promote myself in this podcast. But as I said, that's stay tuned for more. Let's see what Lathan does next. This has been the LarthMedia Podcast, episode 004, a new Larth. I already said that. I am Lathan M.S. Minnick. I am your host, your Gollyrific guide. I still don't have a nice little outro line. But what I've learned over the past few years, and I said this before, love everyone. Love your neighbors, love your family, but don't forget to love yourself. The more love you give yourself, the more love you have to give to others. I love you all, and I'm out. Okay, so this is the part where I still have the TV off, so I got to turn the TV on so I can see that what I'm doing, so I can press stop on the recording. Oh yeah, hour 16. That's not bad.